Hello everybody and welcome to these videos on box models in style sheets CSS. This is week 2 of your module and we're going to be focusing totally on style sheets this week and the box model. Okay, so I've got a website here and in case you don't recognise it, it's the Jimi Hendrix page from week 1, the Guitar Heroes website. I'm just going to focus on this one page for the time being, just to demonstrate it, and then you can have a go at maybe doing the other pages in the same format and play around with the formatting and see what you can come up with. Okay, so as you can see in front of you, I have got only the basics of tags applied. I've got a H4 tag for the heading, I've got me A tags for the links, obviously. I've got paragraph tags, I've got the image tag, I've got no alignment or anything in the image tag, and I've got a H3 tag which I'm using to be my subheadings at the footer of the page. If we just go onto the page, you'll see that nothing is actually formatted in any particular way. It is a bare bones web page. Okay, let's go back to Notepad++. Don't need that John Lee Hooker page, so I'll close that down. I want to create a new page and I want to create a style sheet. So to create a new file, we just go File, New, or you can click on the New icon, and then File, Save As, give it a name, and then from the selection type, select CSS files and save it as whatever you want to name it. I've named mine my first box, and as you can see, I've already started to add some information in. I've created a custom class called header. I've got to put the full stop in front of the custom class name, open with my curly brackets, and then I've put 4 of the box properties, the main box properties in there. I've put the margin, width, padding, border, and as you can see, I've set everything to 10 pixels, 100 pixels, 10 and 10 pixels, and then I've closed the bracket. Get used to the syntax of that, it's very important. Quite a common mistake is simple syntax errors. Now if I go back to my page, you can also see I've put a link in to the external style sheet. Okay, now if we go to the Jimi Hendrix page, nothing's changed, it's still as it was prior to me adding the style sheet. Okay, if we go back to the style sheet, what we've got to do now is we've got to add some div tags. So I'll add a div tag, and the property of the div tag is class. Okay. What is the custom class that I want to affect the area? It's called header. You may have called yours differently, so don't forget I am referring to that name there, header. Hence why div class equals header. If that was called Bob, I would write div class equals Bob. Okay. Now I just want to affect the title of the page, the heading at the top I should say rather than the title, the heading. So I will close my div tag. So basically the div tag is wrapped around, if you like, the H4 tag which wraps around the Jimi Hendrix title page. So if I just save that, go to my Jimi Hendrix page, refresh it, and you'll see that it's jumped and it's moved. The margin, the borders, the padding and everything else I've had an effect on the page and set the heading within that box. You can't see anything, very much like tables with a border set to 0. We can't see anything at the moment. Okay, so get yourselves set up with that one and we'll continue. Okay, as you can see now, I've added another property for the border. I've added a property called solid and I've given it a colour as an hexadecimal value, all zeros, so therefore the colour would be black. And as you can see on the page, just so you can see it a bit clearer, don't forget that the margin, the padding and the border and the width, where they are located, obviously the border is there. Don't forget which is the padding, which is the margin. Okay. padding is inside the cell, margin is outside the cell. Okay, let's go back to Notepad. What we want to try and do now, or what I'm going to try and do and show you, is that rather than have the border, I'm going to get rid of the border. I want my Jimi Hendrix page to appear round about where I'm moving the pointer. Okay, so I want everything to start from that. I'm going to do it in boxes. I could use margins and so on, but I'm going to do it in boxes, and I'm going to use the margin of the box to send it across the page. Okay, now we've got a problem, because let's say if that's about, as a rough guess, 200 pixels. If we change the margin to 200 pixels and save it, what's going to happen? Yeah, everything is 200. The whole margin is 200. Therefore, everything gets pushed down. So we don't want that. So how do we fix that? Okay, the way we get around that is to be more specific with the margin. So we can actually specify top, bottom, right and left with the margin. So we're not forcing the margin to be equal. We can have unequal values if you like. So we can have the top and bottom as 100, right and left as 50, or whatever we choose. So if we just save that and then go to the Jimi Hendrix page, refresh it. Okay, let's make it a little more obvious. Okay, let's take out margin left completely. No, sorry, let's take out margin right completely. And let's put margin left at 500 pixels. Okay, so if we save that, refresh the page, and you can see it's getting closer to how we want the page to look. Now I said I wanted it to be about here, and my first guess was 250, which was quite a way off actually. So going back to the page, it's probably around about 400. Do I need a top and a bottom? Okay, I certainly don't need a bottom, I don't think, so we'll get rid of that, and we'll just send it a little bit away from the top of the page, so we've got that kind of effect. So I'm coming down from the top 10 pixels and I'm going in left 40 pixels. I'll save that, go back to my page, refresh it, and that's probably more how I want it to look. Okay, we'll get rid of that border now. So let's get rid of the solid border. We don't really need any kind of value on the border, so I'll set the border to 0 pixels. And the padding, we don't need much of a padding inside, so we'll set it to 5 pixels. When you're doing this, you've always got to try and imagine that box on the screen. Okay, obviously drawing things out is much better. So making use of storyboards and so on is much better than second guessing, which is what I'm trying to do now. So that's exactly what I wanted. Okay, so you change that, and then we'll carry on in a minute.